Am I the a-hole for going off on my sister for saying her bio kids are our kids? So, my older sister has 5 kids by different men. Her first child was abandoned to my mother shortly after birth. Her second child was attempted to be given to a co-worker at 9 months old. Attempted, as in the co-worker offered to babysit the kid, but was surprised when she got baby's diaper bag with birth certificate, social security card, and a note saying, "You keep the little witch, I don't want her." Social services ended up getting involved, and my mother got her as well. Next 2 children are with both of their wonderful dads, and 5th is currently with her after the dad kicked them both out. From the entire time my mom had the kids, my sister never once visited, or specifically, called about them. She'd call sharing some news, then as an afterthought she would ask about the first kid, but never the second, before she hung up the phone. My mom died a year ago and my husband and I offered to take the 2 now teenagers. My sister was all for it. She came around and talked to them for a little bit, filled their heads with stories of how she tried everything she could to be with them, and pretty much telling them that she wasn't in their lives because a series of unfortunate events. So, we have the kids now for a year, and during this time my sister has made efforts to ask about them. She has bought them gifts, and she occasionally Skyped with them. I will mention though that I allowed their relationship to grow as long as all 3 parties were okay with it. At first, I would set up awkward Skype calls where they all tried to get to know each other once a week. After a couple months, I told everyone that I won't be setting it up anymore, that they are free to talk to each other whenever they'd like, without feeling pressured. After that, things kind of just went cold, and the kids said they just don't feel comfortable with it. The last factor to take in consideration is this. When my husband and I were filing paperwork, my sister looked over the form, and she said she agrees to everything on the form. Us being responsible for insurance, us having physical and legal custody, except the parts where she has to pay child support. She said she was in arrears for never paying child support for her kids, and she wouldn't be able to get a driver's license if she had to owe even more. So she wouldn't sign until we agreed to not ask for child support. One thing that has been bothering me, when I text my sister, she always asks about our kids. How is our kids doing? She hasn't been there for these kids for all but the last year of their lives, and refuses to financially support them at all. And she has the nerve to call them our kids? I finally snapped and told her as much. I later got a text from my other 2 sisters saying that it wasn't called for, that my sister was their birth mother, and that she has been trying with the kids lately. Now I'm wondering if I was being an a-hole to my sister and should apologize. My sister was really upset about it. She said she was the one that gave birth to them, and I was just the aunt, and said she wanted to be nice and say they were both of our kids. Now for the top comments. Not a hole. Your sister was an egg donor for you and your parents' children. Nothing she has done has shown her to be a mother. Funny how the one who gave birth to them has never spent any time raising them. It would be odd to just tell her sister that she's not welcome in her home or around her kids. She doesn't come in my home. We live across the country from each other. And luckily, the kids don't seem to want anything to do with her. And she doesn't really ask to talk to them. She really just talks to me about them and sends them gifts. Not a hole. She's probably only making an effort now because they're teenagers, and she figures most of the work has already been done, so it's safe to connect with them now. I bet she never asked about them when they were little because she was worried someone might make her take them back. They're also getting to be of age where they can get jobs. Gotta get on their good side now so she can hit them up for money later. I'm hoping that won't happen. The kids learned a bit about my sister from my mom. When they ask me about things they want to fact check, I either say, yes, I know for a fact that is true. No, I know mom is lying, or I wasn't there for that, so I don't know for sure. The kids seem to have made up their minds already about how they feel about her without my influence, so hopefully they wouldn't feel obligated if that situation arose. Not a day-hole. Okay, so you snapped, but it's clear why you did. Those kids are yours because you're the one sane adult who stepped in to raise them. To heck with what your sisters and their texts are saying. They aren't the ones raising someone else's children. They can say whatever they want, but you are still the better person. Good on you for being there for those kids. Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that. After everyone turned on me, I started to really feel horrible. I felt like I had no right to be upset at my sister who is trying to get back in their lives. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner that my stepson spends too much time at our home and his mother needs to make more of an effort? Okay, so I've been dating this guy now for nearly 8 months. We've been living together for 2. Everything was going great and we're like best friends and have so much in common. But his 4-year-old son is now proving to be a bit of a strain on our relationship, and I feel like I can't take him anywhere. His son throws tantrums, slams doors when he doesn't get what he wants, smashing the glass on my sister's door. When we buy him things, he says, "I didn't want that," or "I don't like it." When we take him to a store, he picks up everything he sees and throws tantrums when he doesn't get them. Spits his food out when we cook for him, tells us he doesn't like us, making my 7-year-old niece cry when he says horrible things to her as well as throwing her things off of our balcony, etc. He's a nightmare. Let me just add that his dad always has to buy him new toys every time he takes him out, which I told him he shouldn't. His mother is now treating us like a daycare. And she had him for 1 day last week and having him for 2 next week, while she goes on holiday with her new boyfriend and going out with friends. My partner is now currently unemployed, and I'm the main breadwinner and struggling to support all 3 of us due to having to buy extra food and more gas and electric usage. I'm also woken up at 7 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday because my stepson wants the iPad charging or more games downloading, when weekends are supposed to be my time after working all day Monday to Friday. I don't finish until 8 p.m. I told my partner this has to stop, and my place cannot be treated like a daycare. He needs to either A, take him out weekends, or B, rotate it so we have him every other weekend. I feel like my life has been taken over as well as my apartment, as his son has his own bedroom and my things have been taken out of drawers and placed into plastic bags which I'm now living out of. My partner is struggling being away from his son, and I feel horrible for giving him ultimatums. But I feel I need to look after myself too, as I never did in my last relationship. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I feel this whole living situation is making things worse. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I am not trying to stop my partner seeing a son. I am merely implying that the kid needs routine and equal time with both mom and dad on rotating days, in which my partner also agrees. I know they come as a package, and I'm willing to take this on, but neither parent is financially supporting this child. Everyone sucks here. Your house is not being treated like a daycare. It's being treated like the home of a child's parent, which it is. You are in a relationship with a parent. You either need to come to terms that he might wind up with his kid full-time, or you need to not be in a relationship with a parent. Little kids get up early, and if that bothers you, you should not be living with a kid and his parent. Not at all reasonable to tell the parent that his child just needs to not exist in your space. Your partner sucks for putting you in a position where you are living out of bags in your own home, for not disciplining his child, for spoiling his child, for putting the entire burden of supporting himself and his child on you. But here's the thing, he is not going to change. This is how he parents. This is how he deals with his ex. You've been dating less than a year and this guy already has you supporting him. You are feeling mental health effects. You are struggling financially. Looking after yourself is the correct choice, but the way you are doing it is not okay. The 4-year-old is a product of the parenting he is being provided. Your boyfriend is showing you what to expect. So either accept and get on board with a kid taking over your life because that's what they do, or move this guy back out and think about whether this relationship will work long term. Everyone sucks here. Based on your post history, there is a lot more going on here. You jumped right into moving in with a man you've been with for 6 months, after only recently leaving a horrible man you were with for 11 years. You have still been posting about the ex in a very real, active way since this new relationship started. You are not ready to move on. What you are doing isn't healthy for you, for your new boyfriend, and for the child. You need time alone, a therapist, and peace and quiet. Leave. This is not a healthy dynamic for anyone, and it's up to you to take the reins and fix that. Everyone sucks here. Your partner may have some good qualities, but he sounds like a pretty crappy parent, and that's unlikely to change. And the fact that he has a kid really isn't going to change, so you need to think about whether or not you can live with that. You have not been turned into a daycare. Your partner has a kid. This is the deal when you date someone with a kid. If mom dies or pieces out, you're gonna have this kid 24/7. I encourage you to have some empathy for the kid too. He is a little person with some big feelings who has been shunted around his whole life and is likely given everything he wants because the parents feel some guilt. He's doing what's been reinforced. FYI, I don't blame the child for his behavior. His behavior is down to the parents, and I believe he needs some stability in his life. I hope you realize that having him and your partner move in when you only knew him for 6 months is likely a big factor in this lack of stability. I'm going to have a word with my partner tonight. I was happy leaving it 12 months before meeting a son, but my partner couldn't wait that long. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole because I didn't want to keep giving my sister money? I'm 19 female and I recently started a new temporary job a few weeks ago that I love. I finally heard back from this field trip instructor / teaching assistant job where I help at the school and they pay me and everybody $16 per hour because of the travel and hard work. I feel like I made the mistake of answering my sister, 26 female, when she asked how much I was making, and now she's been asking me for favors or wanting to be close lately. Her boyfriend, 27 male, and her make minimum wage, which is a little above $8 per hour in our state. So since money has been an issue for them, I guess that's why she has been asking me for some in small amounts, but it piles up. Like her $20 for groceries and $15 to buy takeout is going to pile up, and I've probably given $100. It doesn't bother me that much since I still have enough for savings, but I feel like all of a sudden my sister sees me as a moneymaker. So I tried to back away or spend less, but she caught on. I don't know if they'll censor it, but she called me the C-word and a witch for turning my back on family now that I'm doing better than them. It's starting to get to me emotionally because she was never like this. And I know she's not good with money either since she gives it to her boyfriend for spending, so she doesn't have much either. Am I the a-hole really? Because I've tried to put a stop to giving her money. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. It ain't your job to subsidize her. If she needs money for takeout, she can get a second job. Or buy actual groceries, which are way cheaper. Or food pantry, community meals, food kitchens, EBT, or any other available programs. Not the a-hole. You do not owe her a penny. Takeout? Takeout is a luxury. Why would you fund her luxury items? Agreed. Not the a-hole. We are comfortable, and I still hesitate to get takeout. It's expensive, and we have groceries that were just bought. I still consider it a luxury due to its expense. Not the a-hole. She's using you for your money. She's the a-hole. What is stopping her from getting a higher paying job? She finished her university education, but she hasn't been able to get one that pays more despite applying everywhere. And it's not just me she's asking, but also other people too. Like my mother, our aunt and cousin, etc. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for buying a toy that I only want my nephew to use at my house and not letting my sister-in-law take home? Yesterday morning, I, 25 female, found a Power Wheels John Deere tractor at a yard sale that didn't work, but it was only $15. And I thought it was worth getting for my nephew, 3 male, to see if my boyfriend, 27 male, could fix it. I moved in with my boyfriend last weekend, and he has a big field that I thought my nephew would love to ride it in. I bought it yesterday morning, and then yesterday evening after my boyfriend got off of work, we took his truck to the house and picked it up. They also had a little trailer that went with it that they threw in for free. My boyfriend and his friend worked on it for like an hour once we got home, and ended up getting it working by taking apart the gear shifter and cleaning the electrical connections inside it. I was pretty excited to show my nephew. Every month, I spend a day watching my nephew so that my brother, 28 male, and sister-in-law, 28 female, can relax and get stuff done. I also really enjoy spending time with him. Normally, I'll take him to the zoo or the beach or someplace like that, but he is potty training right now, and I didn't feel comfortable going anywhere. So I decided to just hang out with him at my house with my boyfriend and give him the tractor to drive around. He had a blast with the tractor. He would drive around the field, pick up sticks and rocks and put them in the trailer and then move them somewhere else. He had a huge grin the entire time, and by the time the battery went dead, he was getting pretty good at driving it. When my sister-in-law came to pick him up, he showed her his new tractor and she wanted to put it in their SUV to take home. I said that I preferred the tractor to stay at my house so that he would be excited to come over and play with it, and they don't have a very big yard to drive it in anyway. She then proceeded to say I was being an a-hole, in nicer words, for getting him a really cool present that he is only allowed to use at my house. Not today, Hall. There's nothing in this scenario any different than having a pool or tire swing that he'd be excited to play with, except it moves. And when he's older, he'll have fond memories of your house and the tractor. Not today, Hall. And the sister-in-law should be happy that Opie wants to keep toys around to entertain her nephew, instead of expecting sister-in-law to bring things with her every time to keep him occupied. Not to mention, it's pretty petty to call Opie an a-hole over that, when Opie's willing to give up time just to make sure her brother and sister-in-law can have some time away from the kid. That's not an obligation on Opie's part. That's a courtesy. Not today, Hall. My mother has always kept toys at her house for when she babysat grandkids, and it was understood that these toys were specifically for when the kids visited. I think your sister needs to understand that as well. Not to mention, if you have other nieces or nephews, eventually this will be something for them to play with when they come visit you. Not today, Hall. It's like if you let him play with an iPad. That's something he can do when he visits your house, and obviously isn't something he gets to take home because he likes it so much. If he likes it so much, the mom could go buy him one for their house, but you are definitely in your right for keeping it at your house because it's yours, and you could even keep it for when you have kids. If you want kids, of course. Did the boy know it was going to stay at your house? If so, not today, Hall. The members of our family who have had kids over keep toys at their house. It makes life easier. I think that's a great idea. I didn't really present it as a gift or anything to him. As far as he knows, it's just part of my boyfriend's tractor collection. He has a big tractor and riding mower, so this one looks really cute sitting next to them. This was the first time he has ever been to this house too. Am I the a-hole for being upset that I'm not involved in my brother's wedding, which I'm paying for? I, female 31, have a brother, male 29, and he is getting married next year. We lost our mom in 2012 and our dad in 2016, and we are each other's only living relatives. I have a good job. I earn a lot of money, £150,000 per year. My brother also has a good job, but doesn't earn anywhere near as much, £35,000. We were raised to always look after each other and share. My partner and I are child-free. Over the years, I have paid my brother's master's degree, paid a down payment on his house. Our parents rented, so there was no family home. I will also be paying for my future sister-in-law, female 26, and my brother to have future rounds of IVF. Sister-in-law works part-time and earns about $50,000 a year. Her parents are not well off. My brother asked if I could contribute to the cost of the wedding. I said I'd pay for it, as it is small with 100 guests, and set up a wedding account for them into which I put £25,000, which they both have access to. Sister-in-law's entire family are involved as bridesmaids and groomsmen, while my husband and I are just guests. Brother and sister-in-law have been going around venues with their family, and I get emailed the costing if it's selected. I told my brother I don't mind paying for the wedding, but I feel really weird that everyone else is involved in the decision and I'm just involved with paying. Brother has said that I'm not our parents. I can't replace our parents, and that's why I'm not involved. Why can't I just do something nice without making him feel crap? I feel like an a-hole for causing drama, but also feel taken advantage of. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are not his parents, but let's face it. You have certainly financially supported him like one in so many different ways. And it doesn't sound like you were trying to control things, just want to be included the same as sister-in-law's family has been. Now that he is going to be a great big married adult, I think it is time you cut off your support and let him be the independent person he is. This. You are not the a-hole. He wants to cut you out of even being involved, then he doesn't need your money. He has it right. You're not his parent, so stop acting like it. He's an adult. He can worry about his own finances. I don't think you should even pay for the wedding. If he is behaving like this now, he'll just cut you off and contact again when he needs help. So not worth of your efforts and money. Not the a-hole obviously, but he's a major one. Having made a commitment to pay for the wedding, backing out would be an a-hole move. Especially as there was no discussion of what involvement Opie would have. To impose retrospective conditions is not fair. However, going forward, Opie's sibling is not entitled to anything. I hope Opie hasn't actually promised them anything concrete about the IVF. Not the a-hole. You are paying for entirely too much. If they can't afford a wedding on their own, then they can't afford kids. You need to stop being the gravy train. But they also need to reduce the cost of the wedding. £25,000? Not the a-hole. You're being taken advantage of. What kind of a relationship do you have? Because this looks like it only comes down to money when talking about your brother. Edit. After reading your replies, the sisters are bridesmaids. The brothers of the bride are groomsmen. You didn't even get an invite to the engagement party? You have paid for so much stuff aside from their wedding. Also pretend to pay for IVF. Let me tell you, if they don't have enough money for IVF, they probably don't have enough to maintain a child. I advise you to please stop paying for their stuff. It's too much. They probably will ask Opie for support on a regular basis. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister-in-law to my wedding? Backstory. My 26 male older brother Jack, 32 male, was once the golden child of the family. Then when he started dating Jill, 32 female, our mother became weirdly jealous. She would constantly run Jill down behind her back and would always make snarky remarks to her face. To her credit, Jill never retaliated and always remained friendly. When Jack and Jill got married, my mother's behavior towards her worsened, to the point she ruined their wedding day. When Jack announced that they were having a baby, Mom suddenly wanted to be Jill's best friend. This changed again soon as Jill gave birth to my niece. I won't go into detail, but her behavior resulted in Jack and Jill going no contact with her. It has been 3 years since all of this occurred. I still speak to all of them and see my mother regularly. I recently got engaged to my partner Laura, 24 female, and we have been planning our wedding. I've asked Jack to be my best man, and he agreed. Since we will be busy most of the day, his interactions with Mom will be pretty limited. I was feeling confident that our day would be drama-free, until Laura came home from wedding dress shopping looking stressed out. When I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that my mom, who was invited along with her mother and our bridesmaids, made a comment about how she was looking forward to putting Jill in her place at the wedding. Apparently, she then ran Jill down to anyone that would listen and made everyone feel uncomfortable. Understandably, we both became worried that Mom's feud with Jill would ruin our wedding day. So we came to the decision to invite Jill in order to avoid this. When I spoke to Jack about our decision, he got upset and kept repeating that this was his wife, the mother of his child and my sister-in-law that we were excluding for something that wasn't her fault. I repeatedly told him that I think Jill is great and that I don't think she has done anything wrong, but I don't want drama in my wedding day or for her to be put into an uncomfortable situation with our mother. Jack ended up telling me that if Mom can't even last a day without starting drama, then maybe I should be reassessing who needs to be uninvited, and that if his wife couldn't attend, he wouldn't either. I feel like I am stuck behind a rock at a hard place here. I know Jill hasn't done anything wrong, and have never been able to understand why Mom is so rude to her when she has always been nice to Laura. I know that my mom is the one in the wrong with all of this, but she is my mother and want her at my wedding. Just to add, Jill texted me after my conversation with Jack and told me that she understands and not to worry. She would talk to Jack once it calmed down. You're the a-hole. You're punishing the victim and enabling an abuser. Couldn't have said it better myself. You're the a-hole. I mean, it really is that simple. I know it's their wedding and all that, but the my wedding, my rules excuse goes away when it means enabling mistreatment/bullying. There's no other factor weighing in his decision. It's a choice between having his mom and the best man's wife, his sister-in-law, who she bullied at his wedding. Jill isn't the one starting drama. Why would she be punished for it? If anything, uninvite the bully. Opie's choice will communicate to his mom that alienating and bullying Jill with her mean girl tricks is okay and leads to no consequences. Like, take a hard look at the situation. Even the event that leads Opie and his bride to uninvite Jill was caused by his mother, making everyone uncomfortable. She's so nice to Laura. What makes Opie think she won't set her sights on his wife one day? And if she does, what will Opie do? Stand there with his enabling ways while mommy dearest bullies Laura? You're the a-hole. Your mother is the root cause of these problems, not Jill. Either confront her like an adult and ask her to act like a mature person, or uninvite her to the wedding. Uninviting Jill absolutely makes you the a-hole. Better yet, uninvite your mom from your life. She sounds like a toxic textbook abuser. Yep, definitely. Jill should be invited because she is your brother's wife and she has done nothing wrong. And this is a good hill for Jack to die on. Your mother is the one that should be uninvited. She's definitely an a-hole. You're the a-hole. Jack is right. You're punishing the victim of bullying and mistreatment and rewarding your mom's terrible behavior. Thank goodness Jill has a husband to stand up for her. Laura obviously does not. Laura better sees this as a red flag in her relationship. Opie's now the golden child and married to his mom. You're the a-hole. While gown shopping for your future bride's dress, your mother announces how she cannot wait to make your wedding all about her issues with your sister-in-law. And your response is to ban your sister-in-law and not your mother? What the heck is wrong with you? She's already taken that joyful, happy occasion and made it about herself. I mean, I'm guessing you have said absolutely nothing to your mom just how out of line that was. They're out looking to buy the dress she says I do in. And your mom decides it's about her and make herself the focus. Dude, you've got to stand up for yourself and your future bride. This isn't your mom's opportunity to shame someone. This is for you and your future bride to share with the people who love and support you. Get your head out of your bottom. Apologize to your brother, your sister-in-law, and especially your bride. Then tell your mother she's no longer invited. Tell her you have hired a couple off-duty police officers to make sure she's unable to gain entry. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to shut the heck up because of the remarks she made towards my 16-year-old sister? My male 28 sister, female 16, was diagnosed with cancer in 2021, and treatment has been hard on her. She is the shy type and can be incredibly insecure and lack confidence about her looks. Any remark, no matter how small, would get to her and affect her right away. It's a while since I've seen her, and the other day I was FaceTiming her and my parents to check on her. My wife joined us and sat next to me without taking her eyes off my sister. Note that my wife is a makeup artist and tends to make plenty of assumptions about other women's faces, which isn't a cool thing. But anyway, my wife started talking to my sister about whether or not she started caring for her skin. And my sister said she recently started a clean and clear lotion to improve her look. But my wife chuckled and said that clearly this product isn't working because she, my sister, still looked like a cancer patient even though she's recovered. I was stunned, and so were my parents. My sister immediately got up and left the room. I looked at my wife and told her what she said was messed up, and that she should shut the hell up with her nonsense remarks, because she just insulted and hurt my sister. She started backpedaling, saying she was just giving her opinion, and a fight started. My parents hung up, and my wife flipped out, saying I humiliated her by telling her to STHU in front of my parents, and claimed I had no respect for her to speak to her like that. I told her what she said made my sister cry, knowing that she's been through hell and can be very insecure about her self-image. But my wife argued that she's being too sensitive, and she was again just giving her opinion and giving her advice in terms of skincare. I stormed off, leaving her yelling about what an a-hole I was to speak to her this way, and ruined the respect my parents had for her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Bullying your little sister who suffered through freaking cancer for her looks is divorce material. Was she a high school mean girl or something? Did you find her on a set of a teenage drama movie? The audacity to speak like this to your sister. I cannot stay with that person. Do you plan on having children? Isn't makeup about empowerment? Sorry, but this got my blood boiling. I'm ready to call you an a-hole if you do not seriously think that relationship. This. Not a-hole to OP for standing up for your little sister, but you could be one if you're not considering divorce. Unacceptable behavior, and no apology or feelings of remorse. Agreed. This is divorce-worthy behavior. She's a makeup artist. If she wanted, she could have helped OP's sister with her looks tremendously. But instead of doing right by her sister-in-law, who's previously struggling, she chose to drag her down. It's not just an opinion. If nobody asks for her opinion, said opinion will just be a potentially hurtful remark no one asked for. She knows exactly what she was doing. But but flipped out when Opie rightfully called her out on it. Note, my wife is a makeup artist and tends to make plenty of assumptions about other women's faces, which isn't a cool thing. I'm so glad you noticed that about her, but have you ever confronted her on that? I kept reading and Jesus Christ on a stick. I would have shut the laptop straight away while your wife was still talking. Giving her opinion? Guess what, lady? Not everything that falls from your mouth is straight gold or wanted. Oh my god, I wouldn't know how to be with a person like this. So toxic and oblivious to their own terrible behavior. Not today, home. Edit. Came back after I recovered a little. Your wife is a terrible, terrible and small person. She told your baby sister, of 16 years old, a teenager who at that age struggles enough with self-confidence issues, and a cancer survivor on top of that she looks terrible. And after that tries to die on the hill that you ruined and respect of your parents for her? I've spent 2 years working on myself and thought I hung up the pitchforks because I tried to act more mature and composed on the internet. But I'm getting twitchy in my fingers for that pitchfork. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to invite my estranged mother-in-law to my daughter's birthday? When I was dating my now husband, his mom didn't seem to like me and we had a couple issues, which I'd say had to do with her not handling change well, or us just being very different people and struggling to understand each other. But the relationship wasn't awful. When we got engaged, she rolled her eyes and made snarky comments, but she did offer to pay. She had quite a bit of money, so we didn't think anything of it, and accepted. She was kind of rude during wedding planning, but I didn't think much of it. Then she walked out of wedding dress shopping, pulled all her money out of the wedding, and stopped speaking to us. To be clear, nothing happened. She just stood up and walked out. The only minor explanation I got was from her sister, who said she just feels like it is never about her, and she is sick of paying for other people to have things. I didn't get it at all. It wasn't about her and she didn't have to pay. She offered. My husband tried to contact her, but she was adamant that she wanted no contact. He let go, and we didn't see her for 10 years. Then ran into her somewhere and they reconnected. She's married now. He has 2 sisters he's never met, and we have 3 kids she's never met. My husband wanted a relationship with her and mother-in-law was open to it. He met with her a couple times, and she never gave any explanation for ghosting us beyond a relationship wasn't working for her, and she was sick of doing things for other people. But besides paying, which she offered, she never did anything for anyone. I have no respect for her, but I'm fine with my husband wanting a relationship. I had dinner with her and her husband once, and she showed absolutely zero remorse. The issue is my husband invited her to our daughter's birthday without consulting me. He admits he got carried away and never should have done that, but would like her to come and bring her 2 kids. I am not comfortable at all with this. I don't want her to meet my kids. I don't think a birthday party is the appropriate place. If she had shown some remorse, I would feel differently. Not today, home. A child birthday is definitely not an appropriate time for the children to meet their relatives. Your husband needs to cancel the invite immediately. Not today, home. People who are sideline observers don't get tickets to the main event. Not today, home. After everything she has done, he let her return into your lives as nothing? No way. I will put a stop there. Your mother-in-law's the a-hole, but your husband is too. These things must be talked between both parts, because marriage means that you are a team. And being 10 years without contact, I don't know. It seems to me that he was in contact with her. I don't find any reason why after 10 years they decided to reconnect just because they ran into one another. Not stay whole. Protect your child from a toxic person. I don't believe they were in contact. I know he tried to contact her a few times and she asked to be left alone. He seemed genuinely shocked when he saw her with her 2 new kids. They just ran into each other and he took the opportunity and mother-in-law was open to it. But to be honest, doesn't seem very affected by any of this. Info. Can you shed any light on why she would reject her child like that? A man who did nothing wrong? It's unfathomable to me. I think she was tired of paying for other people's weddings. She had been paying her parents' bills since she was like 12 or 13. She had paid for 2 weddings before this and never got one of her own. She was lonely and wanted a man. but worked all the time and had no social skills from getting homeschooled. She was homeschooled. She was working. Seeing me, who she never liked happy, set her off. She probably had him too young and felt trapped, but I seemed to be the catalyst that she wouldn't take it anymore. Am I the a-hole for choosing to go on a trip with my girlfriend instead of taking care of my struggling brother's son? For context, my 24 male, brother Luke 31 male, his wife Emma 28 female, and their son Kyle 4 male moved to my city last year because Emma got a new job. They would occasionally ask me to watch Kyle because I work from home with very flexible hours. I personally do not like kids at all, but I was happy to do it at a time because I wanted to help them. It was not that often, maybe once or twice every 2 weeks, and Kyle was very well behaved. Now, the issue started near the end of last year when Luke decided to change careers. He was previously working remotely as well, but his new job required him to go to work as a lot more often and make substantially less money. This left them depending on me more and more to take care of Kyle. It went from once or twice every 2 weeks to around 3 days out of the week. To make matters worse, Kyle's behavior changed drastically. To be completely honest, I can barely stand a kid anymore, constantly running around and screaming while I'm trying to work, and just overall being a little turd. My sister-in-law Emma was over the other day picking up Kyle and made some comments about getting rid of some of the dangerous furniture in my house, like tables with glass edges and stuff, so that my home is safer for their son, and made a joke about baby-proofing my house because they're planning to have a daughter. This ticked me off, but I didn't say anything. The situation hit a breaking point last Friday when I was talking about the 1.5-week-long trip I was going on with my girlfriend on the 15th. Me and my girlfriend like to travel somewhere nice at least once a month. We could not the past couple months because of Kyle, but I promised my girlfriend we would go somewhere exotic for Valentine's. Upon hearing this, they got pretty mad, asking who was gonna take care of Kyle, and that I need to stop these childish trips, and that I need to take more responsibility because I'm an uncle now. I'm not gonna lie, after hearing this, I've freaking snapped. I said that their demon child isn't my responsibility, and I'm not just gonna give up my life because they did it without a rubber. It got pretty obscene from there and some horrible things were said. They left, and we are now no longer on speaking terms. My parents and Emma's parents are on their side and extremely angry at me for refusing to pull my weight. My parents said that this is my duty, and I should be sacrificing everything to help them. It honestly got me really down, and I've cried my eyes pretty much every day since seeing those messages from my family. I'm starting to wonder if I really should be taking more responsibility. Am I the a-hole for choosing my trips over my brother and nephew? Not the a-hole. Sounds like your and Emma's parents need to start doing their duty and watching their grandchild. If they're not willing to do that, all their huffing and puffing that you need to watch Kyle is just hot air. This is not your child, and you have no weight to pull. This just reeks of trying to gang up on you because you're the youngest and you're nice, and they think you're going to cave. Stay strong and keep your boundaries. As an uncle myself, the most responsibility we should be given is to tucker out the nieces and nephews at family gathering and nothing more. Emergency childcare, sure, but suddenly the third parent? Hell no. Sounds more like they think uncle is a free nanny in daycare. They abuse his willingness to help. The uncle has all the right in the world to take his girlfriend on a trip. He could have been a lot more thoughtful and could have managed to go to the in-laws for help. Sounds like the grandparents don't like to pull that weight in raising the grandkids. Not the a-hole. Stay strong in your decision. The fact that they are planning a second child with you as their childcare answer is scary. You need to make it clear that you don't run a daycare facility. Otherwise, you will have a demon child, plus a squawking baby needing diaper changes, feedings, etc. at your home during your work hours. Not the a-hole. Your family are guilting you because none of them can be asked to take care of the son either. Sorry this is happening to you, OP, but stand your ground. You're 100% right. Sounds like your brother and sister-in-law have become entitled to your help and forgotten what it's like to be solely responsible for your kid, so they've begun relying on your help. But as you so rightfully pointed out, this is totally a them problem. Your parents are probably joining in because they know if you stop looking after Kyle altogether, they'll be relied on a lot more. Also, about your outburst, yeah, maybe not the best way to react, but they pushed you to breaking point and you snapped. Also, they were being rude and unreasonable in their expectations, so I don't expect you to respond 100% calmly and rationally either. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not splitting my daughter's college fund? When my 42 female daughter's 17 female was 7, we lost her father to an avoidable accident. Due to that and a subsequent settlement, my daughter was able to have a trust fund of sorts that provided for college, grad school if she wanted, and even some left over for whatever life might bring. It is money that, if managed wisely, would enable her to have a head start in life. She knows about this, and is never taken for granted given where the money came from. After all, we'd both rather have her father around than the money. That said, life moves on, and I remarried 6 years after my husband's passing to a lovely man who has 2 children of his own, 17 female and 13 male. All of the children live with us primarily, with his children seeing their mother on vacations as she lives across the country. This year, both our girls are graduating and should be headed to college. My daughter was admitted to her dream school last year and is ecstatic about it. Her father was an alumnus, and she has this old sweatshirt of his that she kept to remind her of him. She cried so much when she got in, and both her stepfather and I were proud of her because she worked hard to get in. My stepdaughter will also be attending a wonderful school that is one of the top-ranked schools for her interests. The problem now arises with the money to pay for stepdaughter's school, because her parents cannot afford to pay the tuition in its entirety. Stepdaughter will have to take some loans. All told, she will graduate with about $40,000 in loans, which I think is still quite modest for the school she's attending, and her earning prospects post-graduation. But my daughter will graduate debt-free, and for my husband, this is suddenly a problem. He wants us to split my daughter's fund between all 3 kids, because then they could all probably have college fully paid for. My daughter won't have much left over, and will definitely need to borrow for grad school, which she has expressed interest in attending. But according to my husband, that's okay because everyone will start off on an equal footing post-college. I think this is unfair to my daughter because 1, her father had to die for this money, and 2, this is like her inheritance from him. My husband thinks that they are all siblings and she should be happy to share the money with them if it means giving her siblings a head start in life. I absolutely do not want to put her in the position of being guilted into saying yes if she doesn't want to. I've expressed all of this to my husband and he thinks that I'm being selfish, that I'm teaching my daughter to be selfish, and I obviously don't consider my stepkids the same as my daughter. Am I the a-hole for wanting to protect my daughter's trust for her as it was intended? Edited to add, since I've seen this a few times already, both kids do have college funds but somewhat smaller because my husband and his ex got their finances in order later in life. So there is some money, but with the caliber of the school that stepdaughter will be attending, she will still need some loans to cover costs. I haven't brought up going to a cheaper school because that will be a fresh set of problems given where my daughter will be matriculating. Now for the top comments. Info. This is a difficult situation to judge as written. My question for you is this. Who has paid for your daughter's needs since you and your husband married? Has he contributed at all to her food, clothing, shelter, school-related expenses, extracurriculars, family trips, etc.? Or were those expenses borne solely by you and or the fund? Because if your current husband has contributed to his stepdaughter's expenses, I can see how he might think, I've spent thousands supporting this young woman over the years, money that could have come from her fund. Both my husband and I paid for things, because we both have careers and didn't nickel and dime in one another about who was buying what for whose kid. Not the a-hole. That settlement was for your deceased husband's children, not your future children, and certainly not someone else's. I agree, not the a-hole. The money is for your deceased husband's children, not your current husband's children. Keep your stance. This is your daughter's money from her father. The other children have money from their father. To me, your current husband is the a-hole for even suggesting it. Right? This needs to be nipped in the bud and not even open for discussion. OP. This is her inheritance from her father. It is from his death. Circumstances stole her father from her. I am not going to take away what he was able to give her. This is not open for discussion. Also, $40,000 is not that bad, and if she doesn't want that, she can go elsewhere. That's not necessarily for you to bring up, but her father should. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my son my car to pay off his debt? Let's start from the very beginning. Over 20 years ago, I divorced my then wife. I had 2 kids with her, my oldest son and my youngest daughter. I always had a very good relationship with my son. He was my one and only. At age 17, my son moved in with me and my girlfriend. I always try to get my daughter to move in too, but she refused. I tried to make it nice for us, but soon I realized that having another mouth to feed was emptying my bank account faster than I could see. I soon jumped from workplace to workplace and asked all my friends for money which I barely was able to pay back. So, I started asking my son for money. He paid for groceries here and there over the years. Then he helped me with some bills and even got a credit card on his name for us to use, since I couldn't get one due to my debt. It went well for a few years, but still my money was always on the low. I forgot to pay my car insurance for a few months and they ended my contract. So I created a new one with my son's name on it. I asked him, of course, as always, so he always knew what he was getting himself into. Soon, he moved out and moved in with his girlfriend. She was a very nice girl, or so I thought. He soon asked me to pay him back some money since now he had some credit card debt. He did the math and it summed up to around $10,000. I really didn't have that kind of money and he knew that, and he soon went no contact. He visited me and we talked normally for some time. Then he started asking me for my car. He asked me if I could give him my car so he could sell it to pay off his debts. I told him no immediately. I needed a car for my new job since it was in a neighboring city. He told me to take the train and bus and that there were cheap tickets and my job could help me get a permanent ticket. I told him that I couldn't do that. That was at the end of 2021. I told him if I didn't have the money for his debt until January of 2022, he could have a car. After that conversation, he went no contact again. January came and I didn't have the money. I really couldn't bring it up and I told him that. He asked me about my promise and a car, but I know I didn't promise him anything. I told him I still need a car. We had a long fight over the phone in which his girlfriend said that a loving father wouldn't do something like that to his son, with which she meant all the money I took from him. And with that statement, she was dead to me. I got diagnosed with depression due to the situation. I do regret my mistakes, but I think he made me suffer enough. I miss my son, but until he apologizes for treating me like this, I don't want to have anything to do with him either. I feel so torn. My daughter isn't there for me either. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole and the worst kind of deadbeat. He's worse than a deadbeat. He's racking up debt in his son's name and refusing to pay him back. There's a 0% chance the son's credit card debt isn't related to Opie's spending. I like how it's also somehow the new girlfriend's fault, who Opie thought was a nice girl, that his son doesn't want to be financially used anymore. I was waiting for why she wasn't nice. Oh, she dared stand up for her son. Jeez, you're the a-hole, Opie. I'm the daughter and my father, Opie, sent me this post so I can defend him in the comments. I won't be doing that though, lol. Please take this deadbeat to court and use this post as evidence he agreed to pay your brother back. Let me tell you something. My brother took my father to court together with a computer firm. My father bought an $800 screen under my brother's name but couldn't pay for it, so the company sued my brother. He then went to a lawyer to show him other things he's done under my brother's and even my name, things I didn't even know about. He could clear his name and is now going to court with a company against my father. Your father is a trash. I'm sorry you and your siblings have a selfish mooch of a father. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling the police when the people I was babysitting for would not answer their phone? Hi, I'm 14 and I babysit for a few people in my neighborhood. On Friday, I was babysitting for a couple that moved into the city from the south. They're only a block from my house, so my parents were okay with me staying there until 10 as they said they would be home by 9. They did not get home at 9. At 9:45, I started texting them to see if they were on the way. Then I called my parents. My mom came over because I was getting worried. It had snowed pretty bad on Friday and they weren't answering. At 11:30, we phoned the police as I was freaking out. The police got their names and address and I guess found their license plates like that. They found them in about 25 minutes. They were at their friend's house. They called me and they were mad that I called the police. I promise, I wouldn't have called the police if they had answered my texts or calls, and my mom was concerned as well. I didn't call to get them in trouble. I was worried. But they told my mom that I'm not mature enough to be babysitting if that's how I'm going to behave. I feel kind of bad that the police made them come home from their friend's house. But I think that they should have answered the phone. What if there was something wrong with their kids? Not the a-hole. The parents were taking advantage of you. You did everything you should have, including trying to reach them, contacting your mother, and then contacting the police. You've done nothing wrong. The parents are angry at being caught out on bad behavior. Yes, this was the epitome of maturity. Opie had valid reasons to be worried. They were the jerks here, not you, Opie, and not your mom. If they were responsible parents, they would have answered your calls. Or, gasp, gotten home on time as promised? Don't let them get you. Not the a-hole. 1. You are a literal child. 2. They gave you an undertaking and failed to keep it or inform you. 3. You attempted to contact them first. 4. You sought advice from an adult, your mom. 5. They disrespected not only you, but your parents who were comfortable allowing you out until 10, not early midnight. 6. You had no option to just go home when they didn't show, because you were still responsible for their children. They're a-holes, and you should warn other babysitters off them. Not the a-hole Opie. But for clarity, I think they only phoned police at 11:30. It then took 25 minutes for police to locate them. At the very least, it would be another half hours for them to be home because police are gonna do a quick interview there and then, before releasing them home. It's gonna be well after midnight. Never babysit for them again, Opie. Not the a-hole. 3 things. 1. You said they moved to your city from the south. I assume you mean a state that doesn't get a lot of snow? I live in Canada, and when it snows here, the people who have lived here their entire lives forget how to drive. They could have been in an accident. 2. They were jerks for not giving you the phone number of the place they were going to be. Cell phones run out of power and get left in purses. They should have given you contact information. 3. You got advice from your mom. You didn't do this without thinking it through, or out of spite. You had legitimate concerns, and they were enough for your mom to agree that calling the police was a good idea. You did the exact right thing. They were upset because a 14-year-old girl was more responsible than they were. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for saying I no longer trust my brother or his wife around my kid? Okay, so you'll need some context here first. I am a single father to a 5-year-old son, and his mother isn't involved. She was incredibly manipulative and verbally/emotionally abusive. For a few reasons, the courts awarded me full custody of our kid. She was allowed visitation, but basically said, I get full custody or nothing at all, and hasn't made any attempt to contact our son for 3.5 years. To be honest, I prefer it this way. She's a very toxic person who has repeatedly demonstrated an unwillingness to change, and she runs with some people who don't want my son around. If she comes back and demonstrates a willingness to put effort to be better to our son, she can see him. But till then, I'm very on board with her staying away. I've found being a single parent difficult at times and have needed a lot of help/support. This help has often been provided by my older brother and sister-in-law. They've done things like taking me to appointments, cared for kiddo while I worked/went back to school, helped with the bills/groceries when I was on my butt financially, paid for kiddo to do activities I couldn't afford with his friends to keep him from being left out. They've honestly been an absolute lifeline for me, and I just want to establish off the bat that I am incredibly grateful for all they've done for me. During lockdown 3, brother and sister-in-law have been watching kiddo while I work. They're both working from home, and they have absolutely refused to let me pay them for it. Well, during this time, my son has been asking more and more questions about his mom, which I've done my best to answer in age-appropriate ways. He's also been getting upset about her not being around more and more. It really sprang out of nowhere. So I was confused until a few days ago when he said Auntie Laura kept telling him things about Mommy, and they were different to things I had told him. I asked what kind of things she said, and I'll spare you the details for the sake of character count. Can clarify in comments, but it was incredibly inappropriate stuff. I'm so angry about this. My kid is upset, and I'm in a very awkward position. My sister-in-law went behind my back. I confronted her and my brother about it, and they both got very defensive, saying I can't expect her to badmouth her friend, and I'm being unreasonable.
I said that it's not unreasonable to want to protect my kid, and that they've demonstrated that I can't trust them around him. I've even stopped letting them watch him, and my neighbor's doing it instead. They're really upset with me. My brother called me an ungrateful a-hole, and my sister-in-law says she can't believe I'm being like this over one little thing after all they've done. Am I overreacting? Edit. Realizes I deleted a kind of important points for character count. My ex and sister-in-law were friends at secondary school and college, which is how my ex and I met. They're not as close as they used to be, but they're still casual friends. Edit 2. People said I should include this from the comments on the post, so here it is. My ex made a lot of accusations about me that were provable false during the trial, part of the reason she didn't get custody. This includes accusing me of being a serial cheater. I wasn't, and could prove I was in other places at times when she said I was with other people. Accusing me of causing an injury she got in a car accident I wasn't even present for, and saying that I was the one who was emotionally abusive. She told him that the reason his mom and I fell out was because I felt like she was very unkind to me, and Mommy felt like I had other girlfriends, hurt her, and was the unkind one. She didn't say any of the accusations were true, but she didn't say they weren't either. And obviously, a 5-year-old doesn't have the critical thinking skills to figure it out for himself. Not so much that she lied to herself, she just repeated my ex's lies. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Your ex was so horrible that the courts didn't give her any custody. Hard to badmouth such a person. Sister-in-law placed her need to talk up her friend above the needs of a child that was clearly becoming more upset and anxious the more she talked. You're doing what it takes to protect your child, Obi. Clearly, sister-in-law wants to protect someone else. And even if sister-in-law somehow thought the friend was different, she still hasn't seen her own child for nearly 4 years of her own volition. She's a horrible parent for that, at a minimum. I wouldn't trust either of them around my hypothetical child. Not a-hole. Tell your brother this. I am grateful for everything you have done for myself and my son, but gratitude is not the same as obligation. My only obligations are to my child, and that includes being obligated to not leave him alone with someone who lies to him about me and upsets him, no matter what they have done for us. Sister-in-law did not have to say anything about ex, neither good nor bad. She could have said nothing, because it wasn't her place to talk about our relationship to my son, and the fact that she has gotten defensive and wants to act like this is no big deal leads me to believe she would do it again. I'm sorry that it has come to this, but my son's well-being comes ahead of anyone else's feelings. Period. Edited to add, just wanted to throw it out there since this comment has gotten some attention, that I don't think it's probably necessary to never let your kid see his aunt and uncle again, and maybe stress that to your brother too. It sounds like he loves your son a lot, and it would be a shame for this to cause a bigger rift than it needs to. You can set boundaries without cutting them out of your lives. No unsupervised visits would be totally reasonable at this point. Not a-hole. Your sister-in-law and brother sound like are overriding your great parenting. The courts decided that you're a fit parent and your ex is not. They do not get to override that decision. Also, I would not be surprised if that's why they are so willing and ready to be in this kid's life. Is she feeding information about the son to the ex? I know she hasn't seen him because I'm sure the son would tell. Tinfoil hat theory. If she's really super toxic, could she be using all of this to build a case to get some sort of custody? I don't know if she's changed her mind and now wants to see her son. Saying that other people are the primary caregivers paying for stuff and activities could be a way to prove he isn't fit. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not taking my son to my mother after I found out she has been going through my kid's phone? So, a bit of context. I, 36 female, have never been close to my mother. She was verbally and emotionally abusive, constantly disregarded my privacy and got mad at everything I did. When she found out I was a bi at the age of 17 by reading my messages, she kicked me out. I went no contact for quite a while until I had my son, now 15 male. It took some convincing from my sister and aunt, but I decided to let my mom see her grandson. I don't really talk to her, because I can't forgive everything she put me through, but she's a great grandmother and my son and her get along very well. On to the story. I was working late, so I left my son to my mom and took off. When I came back to pick him up, I saw that woman going through my son's phone while he was upstairs watching TV. I started screaming and asking what she was doing. She said that she was parenting my own kid and said that she was being responsible for making sure he doesn't end up like me. I take the phone away from her in an instant and take my son so we can leave. Later that night, after my son was sleeping, I called my mother, screaming at her and saying that she had no right to go through his private stuff or to tell me how to mother my own child. She got angrier and said I was ungrateful and that she was only trying to help. However, I think I might also be the a-hole because I am refusing to take my son to my mother right now, and I don't know if that's the right decision. By the way, I did talk to my son about this one specific incident, and he also is okay with not going to his grandma. He just doesn't know the story behind me and my mom. Not an a-hole, but at 15, I think your son should know some of the background. He should know what she is like. Couldn't Opie's son also stay on his own instead of being watched? Not an a-hole. All I really needed to read was, she was verbally and emotionally abusive. If your mother was abusive to you, that was more than enough to deny her contact with her child. But you gave her a chance anyway. What she did shows she didn't change at all. It's best that you keep her away from your son. All of this, I know what my mother and aunts did to me as a kid, but it was only 3 to 4 years after we cut contact with them did my kids finally feel safe to tell my husband and I things that happened to them growing up with those evil women. I was angry, heartbroken, and felt so guilty. I wish I knew way earlier to stop it. If your parent was abusive to you, they definitely are to your kids when your back is turned. Not at a-hole. She violated his privacy. Does he know what she did? He needs to know if he doesn't. Yes, we talked, but I only mentioned her going through his phone. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kidnapping my brother? I, 26 female, have a tense relationship with my parents. I would have gone no contact with them if it weren't for my little brother, Pete. Pete loves singing, to the great disapproval of our parents. They hate that Pete chose singing instead of more manly hobbies. Despite their disapproval, I always encouraged his passion. I even got him a vocal course for his birthday a couple years ago. After a huge argument, parents let him attend a course. So, to the AITA situation. For Valentine's Day, Brother School organized a love song competition. Students that wanted to take part had to submit a recording of themselves singing. Every video is then published on school's Facebook page. Pete decided to take part in the competition. He sang a Sally song from The Nightmare Before Christmas. And since my fiancé is a photographer and has his own studio, Pete asked for his help filming the video. Fiancé agreed. Pete came over, his part of our bubble, so to speak. Fiancé even helped him edit in some cool visual effects. Everything seemed to be fine, until yesterday. Pete showed up at my doorsteps in tears. I took him in, and after he calmed down, he told me what happened. From what I gathered, our parents saw the video of him singing on Facebook and absolutely blew up. He said that they were screaming like crazy, called him an embarrassment, and forbid him from attending any more singing lessons that he's been paying for from his own money. After they told him to get out of their sight, he gathered some essentials and walked out. Then he took a cab to my place. Pete asked to stay with me, and I naturally told him that he can stay as long as he wants. Our parents must have figured where Pete is when he didn't return in the evening because they called me. They were angry I helped with the video, said they know he's here and were demanding to speak with him. I didn't know what to say, so I played dumb. Didn't deny nor confirm my brother being here. They threatened to call the police on me for kidnapping, and at that point, I hung up and have been ignoring their calls ever since. They must have contacted some of the family because I've been getting many texts with people telling me to bring my brother back home, that he's just a rebelling teenager, cussing me out, even threatening to call police. Pete is 17, will be 18 in 2 weeks. He doesn't want to go back to our parents. I need to stay calm for my brother's sake, but it's so hard with people threatening me with calling police for kidnapping. I tried talking to Pete, told him that he doesn't have to do anything he isn't comfortable with, but that maybe he should talk to our parents. He says maybe, but not yet. Right now, he hates them and everyone on their side. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for kidnapping my brother? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Get him call the police and let them know what's happening, given the fact that he's 2 weeks shy of being a legal adult. That way, when your parents report the kidnapping, the police will already have prior knowledge of what's happened. I'd also be expecting for the crap to hit the fan big time too. Get the police to go with your brother and some of his or your friends to pick up his belongings. Most importantly, his birth certificate, social security number, passport, and bank details. First thing Monday morning, take him to the bank, close his account, and withdraw his money, or do so now so your parents can take it. And open a new account at a different bank and lock down his credit so that no one can run up debts in his name. The reason I'm saying to ask for a police escort is so that they can't refuse him his legal documents and can't abuse him. Get him to speak to the guidance counselor at school for some advice. And I'd suggest as soon as he has all his belongings, get him to counseling and put his parents in timeout. Most importantly, call the police and report this now. I'm glad that he's got two people looking out for him, and I wish you all the best. This is a great advice. Thank you. It didn't even cross my mind to take some of the precautions you mentioned. Not A-Hall. He's 18 soon. From that moment, he is free to make his own decisions. I'm glad he has you in his life, but taking on the care of a teenager is very hard. I believe it is, but I'm committed to doing what's best for Pete. He has had it hard already. After reading your comments, I have to chime in. Do not wait to withdraw his money. Just because parents never touched his money doesn't mean they wouldn't do it in the future. They still have 14 days to steal it. As soon as Pete is legal, open a new account at another bank. Do not choose a bank where your parents have an account. There are enough helpful people in the banking business who would help your parents gain access to his account. Otherwise, top comment already said everything you should. I really don't want to wait. Believe me, but it seems like there's no other option. Pete has a limit on his card to how much money he can transfer in 24 hours, so he's unable to empty his account all at once. He'll be able to separate his account from parents once he turns 18. Tomorrow, we'll be calling a bank to find out if there's a possibility to secure his money in any way. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my daughter if she was imagining her symptoms? 2 years ago, my ex-wife and I were going through a divorce that was made tough by the fact that our son, then 15, was dying of a brain tumor. I noticed that my daughter, 16 female, has started eating a lot more during that time, always very late at night, but I was too occupied with dealing with my soon-to-be ex always yelling at me, saying I wasn't doing enough to be there for her emotionally, accusing me of abandonment and withholding affection from me, to realize that my daughter was also going to the bathroom to throw the food she ate up. After the dust from the divorce cleared up, I found out about my daughter's bulimia from my ex-wife. My daughter told me she felt like her mind at times compels her to feel like she needs more and more food. After the talk and time had passed with my daughter adjusting to her new normal, I thought that she wasn't throwing up anymore. However, in the past few months, my daughter had admitted to feeling stressed because her mother was crying every day because they were approaching what would have been her brother's 18th birthday. My ex has also been stressed about her underwater mortgage. Yesterday, my fiancé and I had driven up to her vacation home for our planned Valentine's Day staycation. I get a call from my ex-wife saying that my daughter has been suffering from heart palpitations and was feeling faint, so she was admitted to the hospital. A few hours later, my daughter called and talked to me about her symptoms over the phone, saying she felt she was having a heart attack and said that she had started binging and purging again recently. A lot of the symptoms she was talking about I thought could have also been caused by an uptick in negative emotions. My daughter was bulimic before the past couple of months, and she herself said a lot of her physical needs came from her mind first. My daughter then asked if I could come see her soon, and I reminded that I had planned this with my fiancé for a while now. My daughter sounded upset and said she really wanted me here, and I was suspicious that she subconsciously wanted to sabotage any plans I had because she was in an emotional roller coaster over her late brother's upcoming 18th birthday. I asked my daughter if she by any chance was imagining all her symptoms. I reminded her that she had admitted to needing to eat before realizing it was all in her head, and asked if this was another stunt her mind was pulling. My daughter got mad and said she literally nearly fainted and said she couldn't believe I thought she was faking. She then hung up on me. Later, my ex-wife said hospital recommended her to a bulimia treatment program, and doctors said she risked a cardiac arrest if she continued her habits. Am I the a-hole for being suspicious that my daughter was just jealous of my current happiness and trying to get attention for it? From the literature on eating disorders, I saw part of it was about attention. You refuse to believe your minor daughter said she was feeling ill, who has a diagnosed eating disorder. And when doctors did confirm she was risking cardiac arrest, you were asking if you were the a-hole? That you think it has to do with your happiness? Yes, you're the a-hole. Eating disorders are the most deadly mental illnesses due to the heart problems that they cause. And Opie asked if she was imagining her symptoms. Unbelievable. Opie, you're the a-hole. It's nice that the impending anniversary for your son's death did nothing to interfere with your romantic weekend getaway and also being there for your fragile daughter. You're the a-hole. This is where I couldn't believe Opie didn't even think about his son. How does that not affect him too? You're the a-hole. Big time. I would get banned if I said what I wanted to. Hope you enjoy a fake holiday while your child suffers in a hospital.
And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.